Hi everyone, welcome to the third episode of Offloading, where we're talking to Dafydd James about his career, the British and Irish Lions, past and present, and of course his thoughts on what we're going to do in 2025, all leading up to something that's even more important than the Test series, which is the launch of Dafydd's book, Offloading, in September. Dav, how you doing?
I'm doing all right, thank you. You?
Good. So we've talked about your Welsh career. We've talked about your call up to the British and Irish Lions and how that felt. We're now at the point where we're entering the Test series. As you've said, you go on that plane with the hope and determination that you're gonna make that Test team. Graham Henry was the coach. He obviously was the coach at Wales. Did that? Do you think give the Welsh boys more of a head start in terms of his understanding his philosophy, understanding his approach? Did that help at all, or was it very much an equal playing field?
It might have given us a little bit of an edge, I think, at the time, because you could understand his psyche and the way that he plans things. He's very structured, pragmatic in his approach, as well. So he was. Yeah, it probably did put us in good stead, really, because we could understand where he was coming from. But he was a guy that wanted to play 15-man rugby. Really, he wanted to play, which is easy to adopt that sort of philosophy when you're in it. But the only difficulty was with Graham Henry was we'd have copious amounts of paperwork and, of moves, and because he was quite intense, which suited some players, obviously. But, for other players, whoa, but just bombarding, I just want to play the game, right? So, it probably did put the Welsh boys in that little bit in front of that stage, but it was 10 Welsh players went on there. Darren Morris, Ron McBride, it was Scott Quinnell, Jarvis, Martin Williams, Rob Howley, Neil Jenkins, Scott Gibbs come out later, and it was Mark Taylor and myself. I think I haven't forgotten anybody. Yeah. So look, it was interesting times, really, but the squad that was gathered there was fantastic, with the Irish contingent, Brian O'Driscoll, Mal O'Kelly, them sort of guys as well, Keith Woods, the Scottish boys. There was only a couple of Scottish boys there. Scott Murray, Simon Taylor was exceptional. He got injured on the first game out, and then Gordon Bullock come over as well, I think. So look, very good memories, and what a squad.
Well, as was borne out in the first couple of games, you absolutely pumped everybody. Western Australia 116 points, Queensland 83 points, then the Reds 42 points before you came up against Australia A and fell short there. But the momentum was certainly in the Lions' favour, wasn't it? Those are big scores, over 200 points in the first three games. Presumably at that point you're thinking life's good.
Yeah, well, the first game, history suggests that, it's normally the strongest team takes the field, and we were in Perth, Western Australia. We flew in there, stayed in a place called Fremantle, and, I wasn't selected, I wasn't involved, and it was like, oh, God, okay, here we go. This is true to form. What people are saying, I probably won't play, and it was the English lads, Cohen and Dan Luger on the wings with Ian Bolshaw at fullback, I think it was. So it was like, all right, okay. And it was 116 points. It was a total drubbing. It was a cricket score, really, on the cricket pavilion, ironically. And, it was mad. But Graham Henry made the point of saying that, look, in the first two games, guys, I've got to be honest, everybody's going to play. So we flew over then up to Townsville, northern Queensland, which was bloody hot, to be honest, and humidity. And I had my chance, and that was it. And really, I can remember it. And I look back, and it was an opportunity in that game with 116 points that Ben Cohen had a chance to score, and he didn't score. He didn't. I mean, it was just on that point, even though it was 116 points, I thought to myself, is that my chance? Is that my chance? You got to look for little margins, fine margins. And for me, you know, it's like, right, okay, it's your chance. And then we went up there, and that was the finding of Jason Robinson, if you could recollect. And I think he scored about 5 tries in the first game, I think, or something ridiculous. But, you know, but I was on the other wing, and, you know, we complemented each other quite well, and it went from there, really.
So you're in good shape. The momentum's heading towards that first test match. When is there an envelope under the door? How do you find out you've been selected?
Yeah, there were envelopes under the door, but they were different envelopes, I think. You know, pay your bills.
Is that the bar bill?
Yeah, pay your bill. But no, it was. How do you find out? Actually, I've had to really think hard and deep. I did make a diary of the events. Really, I put it on the computer, and it was in Coffs Harbour. We were flying back to Brisbane because the first test was in Brisbane. And we had the usual sort of pull over, the coaches coming around. You think, oh shit, if he comes and speaks to me now, I'm not involved or whatever. And you could see him going around and doing all that sort of stuff. I was like, oh shit, oh, don't come near me, don't come near me. And, so all the boys who were initially told that they weren't involved, and then. It was a quick look. Here's a team. Sat you down, frigging playing. Euphoria kicks in and all that. And then it was quick on the phone before we jumped on the plane to fly back to Brisbane to ring my mum and dad and my brother, my wife, and at the time, and my grandfather was going over there because he was based there in the war, World War II, and he was coming over as well. So it was a matter of Jesus and my father-in-law. So I was ringing back, and they were getting on a plane and said, freaking heck. So I was like, oh, you won't believe this, I'm there. And so he wanted to know the ins and outs of a duck's proverbial backside, my dad did. I was like, Dad, I got to go. Like I'm playing, I'm in, I'm there. I put the phone down. Needless to say, they had 24 hours on the laughing gas on the plane, I think. So, and then they rocked up to Brisbane, and a day before the test, really. And, that was it, yeah.
So you got a little reveal for us. You said in the last episode you don't actually get a cap if you're a lion, but if you're a test lion, then you do. Is that right?
That was the case, but now everybody that goes is, I'm number 708 in the pecking order, really, the 708th person to get. So here's my cap, is nicely delivered a couple of years back now. Whereby you get your number on there, and like I said, you didn't really have a cap before. It was more the jersey. So that is it.
Who presented you with your jerseys on the day?
Well, none other than Willie John McBride. Actually.
Oh wow!
You don't get bigger than that. I remember it was in the day we went up. They put us on the mezzanine. We were on the mezzanine floor, but they said, right, the team room is we put it up at the top floor, out the way, and because the crowd were filling up downstairs and doing the bar areas and all that sort of stuff, and it was like, all right, okay, we were kept away from all this, obviously, and we went up there, and when a team is on song, there's no laughing, joking. Everybody's turning up. They're focused. They're right. This is the job. When the guys turn up and they're arsing about, they're not in the game, right? They're not there. I'm always like, come on, guys. And we turned up there, and they was in like a horseshoe sort of, 1 to 23, 22, whatever it was at the time. And the coach goes at the front, and the jerseys are all lined up behind the coach and Graham Henry at the time. And then all of a sudden, the great Willie John McBride walks in, and he said it doesn't need an introduction, and bang, so he starts speaking then. So he said a few words about it, but, it's all become a bit of a blur, but what it means to all the people back home and what it means to be a British and Irish Lion. And it was just like, whoa, wow. And, they started calling up the names or whatever, and they called my name up. And in fairness, he shook my hand. He said, you deserve this more than anybody. And he gave me the jersey. And it was like, oh my God, wow. And that was it. So, and I'm one of these guys. I got my jersey in my frame there, just alongside me. And I went to put it in my bag, and I thought, oh, I don't want to put it in my bag just in case someone nicks it out my bag. I don't know what I was thinking, but I was like, sort of looking, because I got a bit of OCD, and looking, is it in there? Yeah, it's, oh, crikey. So we go in the left end, because we go in from the top floor down, and they said, look, we can't get to the ground floor. We've got to stop on the mezzanine floor. And it's like, all right, okay. So we stop on the mezzanine floor, it's the third lift down or whatever, and all of a sudden the doors open, bang, and then the bagpipes are playing, the Scots are there, Flower of Scotland and all this, and we're trying to go through, and it's just hundreds upon hundreds of people everywhere, lions, and it was like, oh, keep your head down, frickin' heck, oh my God, this is wild. So we went down like an escalator, got onto the bus, and away we went. It was like, geez, it was wild. It was absolutely incredible.